Erev Tov, everyone, and good evening. We are in the Zera Shimshon on Parsha Tetzaveh in the sefer. It's Daf Tuf Shin Samech Ches. We're doing Ostalid section 4. I would like to dedicate tonight's learning to for Zechus of a Refuah Shlema for Rafal Shlomo Baruch ben Sipora, and for a little boy who's having surgery tomorrow, Yosef Akiva ben Yocheved. In the Parsha of Tetzaveh, we know that amongst many other things, the big day kahuna, the special clothing, articles of clothing that the Kohanim wore and that the Kohen Gadol wore in the Mishkan, and also, of course, later in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, are described in great detail. One of the 8 special articles of clothing that the Kohen Gadol wore was called the Choshen, sometimes referred to as the Choshen Mishpat. And that was the breastplate that the Kohen Gadol wore. And we know that it had 12 precious stones that were set onto the Choshen. The Zera Shimshon is going to talk about 2 of the stones that are mentioned in the Torah as being in the last row. There were 4 rows of 3 stones each. And in the last row on the bottom row, the Torah tells us was Tarshish, Shoham, and Yashve. Those were the 3 stones in that row, and the Zera Shimshon is going to talk about the Shoham stone and the Yashve stone. And he's going to start with the Gemara in Baba Basra, which we'll see right now. Baba Basra, Parak Hey, the 5th parak of Baba Basra, the Gemara there is talking about things that will happen in the time of Mashiach, and it quotes a pasuk in Yeshayahu, and the words coming up right now come from that pasuk. V'samti kadchod shimshosayach, which means, and I will make your walls like a kadchod. And we're going to talk about what a kadchod, that's a precious stone. We're going to talk about exactly what kind of precious stone that was, but it's based on this pasuk, V'samti kadchod shimshosayach. I will make your walls out of kadchod, out of that kind of stone. Chad Omar, so the Gemara brings down a machlokes, and it's a very unusual Gemara in the sense that it says this machlokes is between 2 malachim. It's between the malach Gavriel and the malach Michael. And then it says, and there's an ikad amrei that it might be a machlokes between 2 Amoraim, and it quotes 2 Amoraim, but it's the first view in the Gemara is that the machlokes that we're about to describe is actually an argument between 2 malachim about what Hashem meant when he said that he would, when the Navi quoted Hashem to say he would make the walls of Yerushalayim in the future out of kadchod. Chad Omar de Shoham. One opinion, whether it was an angelic opinion or an opinion of an Amora, one of the opinions is that it was made from Shoham. Shoham, as is true of all the different stones on the Choshen, there are different opinions as to what they were. We'll go with what I think is the most common translation, that a Shoham stone is made out of onyx, is the stone, I should say, the precious stone onyx. So one opinion is that the walls of Yerushalayim will be made from onyx stones, V'chad Omar di Yashve, and another opinion is that it will be made from jasper, from the jasper stone. And again, there are different opinions as to what Yashve is. But those opinions don't really affect what the Zera Shimshon wants to talk about. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Hashem said, Lahave Kedain Uchedain. The walls of Yerushalayim in the time of Mashiach in the future should be made according to this opinion and according to that opinion. They should be made according to both opinions. So since the Gemara in Baba Basra is saying, since there was a machlokas as to exactly what kadchod was, so the word kadchod itself is an allusion, is a hint to what Hashem said, which is Lahave Kedain Ukedain. And you can kind of see the word kadchod if you look at the beginning of both the first half of Kedain and then the second Kedain, like this and like this. So God said, let the walls of Yerushalayim in the time of Mashiach be made from both Shoham and Yashve. Ad kan Lashono, that's the end of the quote from the Gemara in Baba Basra. So the Zera Shimshon says, Tzarech Ian, Lama dafka yiyu hachomos me'elu ashtei avonim shohan v'yashve. Why should Hashem have decided that the walls of Yerushalayim, again, in the future, should be made from these 2 particular stones. After all, just on the Choshen itself, there were 12 stones. Hashem could have chosen any of the other stones. And besides the stones on the Choshen, there were many other precious stones in the world, and Hashem could have chosen, obviously, from any of those stones. So why did Hashem Dafka specifically choose Shoham and Yashveh to be the types of stones that would be used to form the walls of Yerushalayim in the time of Mashiach? V'yesh lomar, we're coming down now to the second paragraph in the first column. V'yesh lomar shebe'elu ha'avonim ha'yakosuv bahem ba'avnei ha'choshen shemos Yosef uvinyanim. Shemos Yosef uvinyanim. Zera Shimshon says that each of the 12 stones, as we know, on the Kohen's breastplate, on the Choshen, had a name of one of the tribes engraved on them. On each stone, one of the names of the Shvatim was inscribed, was engraved. And so he tells us, Zera Shimshon tells us, that on the Shoham was engraved the name of Yosef, and on the Yashveh stone appeared the name of Binyamin. And this is very significant, as we'll see. V'kosav b'sefer Shiltei HaGiborim, and it's written in the sefer Shiltei HaGiborim, v'zeh l'shono, and this is a quote from that sefer. Shahashoham yo'il l'zechira ule'enayin. The Shoham stone is affecting and helping a person with vision and with their eyesight. I'm sorry, zechira, with memory and with vision, with eyesight. That's what the Shoham stone is effective in helping a person with. V'hu tov leha'ashir, and it's also good for a person's wealth, to make a person wealthy. V'hu melamed loshen ha'adam lahalitz u'ledaber b'chochma. This stone helps a person learn how to give advice and to speak with wisdom. Lahavin hachidos hane'elamos, and to understand the hidden secrets, the hidden mysteries. So this Shoham stone is very powerful, and used in the right way, and it can help human beings in their memory, their vision, and in speaking with Chochmah and in understanding secrets of the world. It's so powerful that it can almost bring up a person to the level of Nevuah. The Nitna Evan Zuli Yosef, and this stone was given over to be engraved with Yosef's name specifically, Mipnei Shehayilo Einayim Tovim, because Yosef had good eyes. What does that mean, that he had good eyes? Let's continue. Ben Poras Yosef, Ben Poras Ale Ayin. This is taken, of course, from the bracha that Yaakov Avinu gives to each of his sons before he dies. And to Yosef, he starts off by saying these words: Yosef is a fruitful son who is Ale Ayin, which can either be translated as of superior eyes or superior vision, or it can be translated as above the eye. And there are, of course, different interpretations. But what the Zera Shimshon is pointing out is that the Torah itself tells us that Yosef had a special quality of vision and special eyes, Einayim Tovim. V'hayilo zechira, and he also had a powerful, powerful memory. Kedichsiv, as another pasuk in Bereshit says, Vayizkor Yosef v'chuli, and Yosef remembered. That pasuk comes from the time when Yosef's brothers are standing in front of him, and the Torah tells us Yosef remembered the dreams that he had when he was a young man, a youth, and that's about 22 years previous to the point when his brothers are standing in front of him. And Yosef remembered the dreams vividly and acted upon them. So we see that Yosef had the koach, a special koach in terms of his einayim, and a special koach in terms of his zechira, and therefore, and these are both things that the Shoham stone is effective with and connected to, and so it made sense, the Zera Shimshon says, to have Yosef's name be on that stone, as he'll continue to explain. Umipnei shehaya chacham bal hamlotza b'pitar nachalom, and because Yosef showed such wisdom and gave such sage advice when he interpreted Paro's dream, v'nitznitza bo ruach hakodesh, and ruach hakodesh was flickering, was ignited in him, meaning that that his ability to understand and interpret the dreams the way that he did showed that he had a gift of Ruach HaKodesh. As it says, Achrei Hodia Elokim v'chulei, Paro said to Yosef, after Hashem has showed you all of these things, then you must be the right person to appoint to protect the land of Egypt during the upcoming years of plenty and years of famine. So we see that even Paro understood that Yosef had been extraordinarily gifted by God to understand and see the things that he saw. Vahaya ish matzliach, and he was an extremely successful man, which of course when we think back to Yosef's life, no matter how many hardships and trials and tribulations he had, no matter how many times he had to start from the bottom and work his way up, he was always successful and very quickly rose to the top and was a person blessed with great hatzlach and everything. Ad kan Lashono, until here, is a quote from the sefer Shiltei Hagibor. Vilochain, and the Zera Shimshon says, therefore, kedei lirmos, in order to hint, shela asid lavo, that in the future, in the time of Mashiach, umala haaretz deya es Hashem, the world will be filled with knowledge of Hashem. That's one of the traditions that Chazal teach us, that in the time of Mashiach, there'll be a tremendous awakening, a renaissance and an awakening and a growth, an explosion of knowledge of Hashem and understanding of Hashem. V'hatzlacha rabba, and there'll be tremendous prosperity and tremendous success in what Bnei Yisrael does at that time. V'zechira tova, and also very strong memory. All of those things will happen to an extraordinary degree in the time of Mashiach. Yiyu hachomos mishoham. Therefore, Hashem wanted the walls of Yerushalayim to be made from the shoham stone, which represented and encapsulated, symbolized all of these things. So that is the shoham stone. Now we're going to shift to the yashvei stone, the second stone that will form the walls of Yerushalayim. Uman de Amar Yashvei, and according to the opinion that said that the precious stone will be jasper, will be Yashvei, Hainu Masher Kosav Sham Harav Hanizkar Le'el. This is based on what the source, the Rav, told us before, that we mentioned before, meaning the Sefer Shiltei Hagiborim. Shehayashvei Skuloso Lishmor Ha'adam. This particular stone is a segula for protecting a person, shelo yitnu lo hasamim hamamisim v'chuli, that he will not be given poisonous, deadly poisons. So this is a stone that can protect a person even from deadly poisons. V'nitan leVinyamin, and it was given for Binyamin's name to be placed, engraved on this stone, on the Kohen Gadol's breastplate. Lizkor lo zuchus ima, to recall for him the tremendous merit of his mother Rachel Imenu, sheyolda oso chai, who gave birth to him alive, v'hi holcha le'olama be'es le'dasa, but she died at the time of giving birth. V'lo hiziko v'lo hemisa oso, and her death did not harm and certainly did not kill him, ima, along with her. So the Zera Shimshon is saying that this stone, which protects a person from deadly poisons, is a stone that also that can therefore remind and represent Binyamin's gift, that through Rachel's tefillah to Hashem, even though she died, Binyamin survived this very difficult birth, this very dangerous birth situation, and not only did he survive, but he wasn't harmed at all. He was a healthy a baby, and he came out of that unscathed. And so this particular stone, this Yashvei stone, it memorializes that. Ve'od, and more so, another thing, the Isa b'Yalkut, it's stated in the Yalkut, al pasuk uvein ksefav shachain, on the pasuk which is stated by Moshe Rabbeinu at the end of the Torah in Parshas V'zos HaBracha, where Moshe is giving a bracha to each of the Shvatim. So when Moshe gets to Binyamin, one of the things he says is uvein ksefav shachain, that Hashem will dwell between the shoulders of Binyamin. And what does that mean? So Chazal tell us, Shehab Beis HaMikdash nivna bechelko she Binyamin. This was the Torah's way of alluding to the fact that in the future the Beis HaMikdash would be built in the portion of Binyamin, in the land of Israel. Lefisha kol hashvatim hayu b'mechiroso shel Yosef, chutz mi Binyamin. And the reason for this was that all of the tribes were involved in the sale of Yosef except for Binyamin. V'im yivnu hein Beis HaMikdash, and if any of the other tribes had built the Beis HaMikdash in their on their property in their Yerusha area, v'yilchu lehispalel sham, and they would have gone there to daven sheyirachem HaKadosh Baruch Hu aleihem, that God should have mercy on them. Lo hayunanim, they would not have been answered. If the Zera Shimshon is saying that if the Beis HaMikdash had been built and any of the other property of the Shvatim and any of the other areas where the Shvatim had their inheritance in Eretz Yisrael, if the Beis HaMikdash was there, they would not have been answered when they came to daven in the Beis HaMikdash. Just as they did not wish to have mercy and have rachamim on Yosef when they sold him and when he cried out to them for that not to happen. Vizehu hayashve, and this is the reason why the stone of Binyamin was the Yashve stone, the mashma sheyesh peh, because the word Yashve implies yesh peh, there is a mouth. The word itself, Yashve, if you look at it, you can see it's formed of two words. It can be broken up into two words. Yesh peh, there is a mouth. Lefisha Binyamin dafka yesh lo peh lehispalel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because it was specifically Binyamin who could successfully daven to Hashem sheyirachem al Yisrael, that he should have mercy on Bnei Yisrael. Masha'ein kein shar hashvatim, was not the case with the other tribes. So we see the connection between the Yashve stone, both in terms of its ability to protect a person from a deadly threat, and Binyamin was protected from a deadly threat at the time of his birth, and which was such a difficult birth that his mother Rachel died at that time in labor, and also because Yashve can be broken up into Yesh Peh, there is a mouth, symbolizing hinting to the fact that all of the other Shvatim would not have the power to daven for Hashem's rachamim if the Beis HaMikdash was put in their zones, but Binyamin would be able to do so, and so that's why the Beis Chazal tell us that's why the Beis HaMikdash was put in Binyamin's area. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu Amar Lahave Kedenu Kedain, and Hashem says, because of this machlokas, as the Gemara in Baba Basra said at the outset, because there's an argument, let it be from both the Yashve stone and the Shoham stone. Let it be, the walls of Yerushalayim be made from both. Shahare Shnehem B'nei Rachel, because these two stones both represent the sons of Rachel. Yosef's name was written on one stone, Binyamin's name was written on the other stone, and Hashem wanted these stones with the representing the names of Yosef and Binyamin, Rachel's two children, to be the stones that made up the walls of Yerushalayim. V'Rachel hi hamima'enes lehisnachem, and we know that Rachel is the one who refuses to be comforted. Rachel davens and davens for Klal Yisrael and refuses to be comforted after the Churban Beis HaMikdash, and continues to daven to Hashem to allow Bnei Yisrael to return to their land. The Hakasuv Omer, and the pasuk that we quoted, that the Gemara in Baba Basra quoted all the way back in the beginning of this piece, begins with, it's actually the pasuk right before the pasuk we read, begins with the words, Aniyah so'ara lo nuchama. The storm-tossed ship will not be comforted, which is a reference to Rachel Imenu not being comforted, v'chule, etc. And then it says the words that we read, Besamti kadchod, and I will place the walls, I will make the walls of Yerushalayim from the kadchod, keneged shnei vanecha, which corresponds to Rachel's two children. So the Zera Shimshon says this theme that we've developed, that the stones, the Shoham stone and the Yashve stone, represent Yosef and represent Binyamin, and each stone has its own powers, so to speak, its own things that it represents, and these connect to Yosef and Binyamin. This was actually hinted to right in the psukim where the Kadchod stone is talked about from Sefer Yeshayahu that the Gemara in Baba Basra quotes, because right above that it talks about the Aniyas Soara Lo Nuchama, the ship that is going through a storm and will not be comforted, and that's a reference, as we said, to Rachel Imenu. And Hashem says, and as a connection to Rachel, her two sons, the stones representing her two sons on the Choshen, will be used in the future in the time of Mashiach to build the walls of Yerushalayim. V'hatam shekara lechomos Yerushalayim shimsho sayach. And in that pasuk, the Zera Shimshon says the reason that the walls of Yerushalayim are called shimsho sayach, which of course is a very unusual word. You would have expected it to say homosayach, your walls, or use other words that we see in Tanakh to say to talk about a wall. But here we use the word shimsho sayach to talk about the wall. So Zera Shimshon explains, mipnei shekumosha hashemesh hakol holchin laoro. Just like when the sun comes out, everyone goes towards its light, meaning when the sun is shining during the day, if it's a cloudy day and sun is only in certain areas, if you want heat or you want light, you go into where the sun is shining, you go towards that area in order to benefit from the heat and the light of the sun. Kach yelchu goyim leor shel chomosayach. Hashem is saying, so too the nations of the world will go towards the walls of Yerushalayim at the time of Mashiach. Sheyiyu kamo shemesh. They will be, the walls of Yerushalayim will be like the sun. They will be producing and emanating a bright light, and the nations of the world will be attracted to Yerushalayim and will come towards the walls of Yerushalayim the same way that people are attracted to the light and the heat of the sun. Kedamrina and Hassam, as that Gemara in Baba Basra that we quoted on that same Amud, it says, Asid HaKadosh Baruch Hu laso sukkah l'tzadikim me'oro shel livyasan, a very famous Gemara. In the future, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make a sukkah for the righteous from the skin of livyasan, from the skin of this great sea creature called livyasan. Its skin will be used to make a sukkah for all of the righteous people in the future. Zacha, if a person merits it, osim lo sukkah, then that person will have his own individual sukkah. Lo zacha, osim lo tziltel. If a person doesn't have the merit of his or her own sukkah, then that person will get a tziltel, a little bit of a covering. The skin of Livyasan will provide a little bit of shade for them, not enough to make a whole sukkah. Lo zacha, if the person doesn't even merit that, osim lo anak, then from the skin of Livyasan, the person will receive a necklace. Lo zacha, if a person doesn't even merit that, osim lo kamiya, then the person will receive a small amulet from the skin of Livyasan. So after all of the righteous people receive their different levels of gifts from the skin of the Livyasan, or their different levels of protection from the skin of the Livyasan, the Gemara continues, v'hashar porso al chomos Yerushalayim, and all of the rest of the skin of Livyasan will be spread out over the walls of Yerushalayim. V'zivo holech misofa olam ba'ad sofo, and it will shine. It will produce a shining effect from one end that will reach out from one end into the world to the other end of the world. Shenamar, as the pasuk, another pasuk in Yeshayahu says, "V'holchu goyim la'orcha," the nations of the world will go to your light. U'melachim lenoga zarchecha, and kings will go towards the shining, towards the brightness of your shining, is how that pasuk from Yeshayahu ends. So there's a concept that Zera Shimshon is sharing with us from this Gemara in Baba Basra, that there will be the walls of Yerushalayim themselves in the future will be made from precious stones, from the shoham and from the yashpeh, and they will produce a light that will attract the people of the world. And the skin of the Livyasan will then be put on top of the walls of Yerushalayim to produce such a powerful light and such a powerful radiation that it will spread from one end of the world to the other end of the world, and also protect and give joy to the righteous, to the tzaddikim who are under the skin of Livyasan, or at least receive some portion of the skin of Livyasan. So that brings this piece to a close, and what the Zera Shimshon has shown us is that we can have a Gemara that we might easily read as that Gemara in Baba Basra, and we might say, oh, that's an interesting idea, but he's taken us very deep into understanding why exactly and precisely it's these two stones, the Yashveh stone and the Shoham stone, and what their qualities are and what they represent in terms of their connection to Yosef of Binyamin, and why all of that is part and parcel of the Psukim in Yeshayahu that the Gemara in Baba Basra brings down to explain this teaching that the walls of Yerushalayim will be made from the stones in the future, and that the nations of the world, in their quest to discover Hashem, finally at that time, will only have one place to go to be able to do so. They'll come to Yerushalayim, they'll come to Bnei Yisrael, they'll come to the Jewish people to learn from the Jewish people and from the righteous about Hashem and about how to serve Hashem. Bimheira b'yameinu, and that should of course be speedily in our days. Yasher koach to everyone for participating tonight.